Hello, everybody. Some crazy comedy happened yesterday, which I assume that a lot of you have seen. I'm going to play the craziness that happened yesterday, pure satirical comedy in my opinion, and then I'm going to give my feedback on it and highlight a couple of other issues. So here goes. Yeah, Yusuf popping this banger out yesterday. So we're just going to play it and we'll give a bit of feedback on it.
This is Zach Polanski, aka the Breast Whisperer.
We came to you and said, can you make my breast bigger through hypnotherapy? And you said, yes.
But mind over memory is just one of Zach's many mad ideas. As illegal migrants continue to turn up on our shores, Zach and his Green Party say they want Britain to have no borders at all. Now it's clear that the failed uni-party era is over and there is a battle for the soul of our country between Reform and the Greens. That's why today we announce an important new policy. In order to deport all illegal migrants in Britain, we're going to need to detain tens of thousands at a time. Migrants will not be able to leave these detention centres and each will be held there for a couple of weeks before being deported. So here's our promise. A Reform government will not put any migrant detention centres in any constituency with a Reform MP. We will not put them where Reform controls the council. And of the remaining areas, we will prioritise Green parliamentary constituencies and Green controlled councils to put those migrant detention centres. That means areas like right here in Brighton. Put simply, if you vote in a Reform Council or a Reform MP, we guarantee you will not have a migrant detention centre near you. However, if you vote Green, there's a very good chance that you will. This way, everyone gets what they vote for. Visit votegreengetilegals.com. Britain is broken. Britain needs reform.
Okay. So yeah, that happened yesterday. Now, let's be brutally honest with you. It is illegal to threaten people with dangerous stuff and saying basically if you do not vote a certain way or threaten you with danger. But the caveat to this is that those on the far left, the Green, Labour, even some a lot of Lib Dems, your freaking party, etc., love illegal migrants and think that every illegal migrant is a blank slate, is a new little baby with no past, no history, no nothing, and just like all the rest of us here in every shape and form, which we know is absolute trash. I can't see us flying, and it is somewhat unfair. For example, I live on the Wirral Peninsula. We've been held by Labour since 1972 or something, and we've had Labour MPs. We've got three of them. Three useless individuals who are whips. Yeah, just whips. Yeah, everything that comes up, they sign off on. You know, abortion for 12 months, all three of our Wirral MPs signed off on that. Voting against the grooming gang inquiry, thank you, all three Wirral MPs for that one. Oh, and voting for not investigating Keir Starmer recently in how he is, misinformed Parliament. But don't worry, our three MPs meant, no, we don't want that investigated, don't worry about it. I imagine the same three MPs will sign off to euthanasia. Now, again, some of you will believe euthanasia is needed for extreme cases, for people who are suffering, and there's a good argument for that. But if we follow the Canadian model, we're going to be bumping off 13-year-olds and 16-year-olds with anxiety and stress without telling their parents, which has happened in Canada. And we're going to find that majority of the white native population of Britain will be the ones euthanizing themselves. As we can look again at the Canadian statistics, 96% of those being euthanized are Canadian white individuals. Okay, yeah, okay, looks very erroneous. So anyway, let's get back to this, me griping about our three MPs. But because of Reform, let's say Reform win for whatever reason, then my constituencies, the three that I cover, Wirral West, Wallasey and Birkenhead, will be subjected to Reform's hotels. I guarantee you a lot of us don't want that. Nigel, Yusuf. We don't want that in the Wirral, even though we're stuck with these MPs, even though we're stuck with terrible Green, Labour and Conservative councillors that have ruined the Wirral Peninsula thingies, you will be ruining us more. As a Restore member, as a Restore potential candidate, as a Restore branch manager, I can tell you right now, we don't want this. And if we win the Wirral Peninsula, and we will be attacking the Wirral Peninsula on force, because our local elections aren't until May next year. So you're going to come out as Nigel, because we're more harder on you than migration than you are. So it'd be weird how you frame that in the future. Either way, personally, as a Restore member, and I can quite blatantly say this, we don't find that acceptable. We don't want any illegal migrant in the country. And just because someone voted Green or a party we don't agree with doesn't mean we punish them by potentially putting a dangerous individual in their area. On a comedic level, it is genius. If anything about this reform advert, it's a show and catch out the far lefties. The far lefties say they care so much about migrants and now kicking off about this, saying it's unfair, illegal, whatever. Thank you. Thank you for showing your true colours. We already knew them. It's nothing new to us, but thank you. Now, I just want to highlight this. The left love migrants so much. So how can you complain against reform's advertisement? Because you simply be like, yeah, sound, you know, we love migrants, bring them here. Glasgow, for example, or is it Edinburgh? No, Glasgow wants to be a sanctuary city. Yeah, it wants to bring all the migrants there. So, okay, then you can take them all then, right? And you can have continued issues in Glasgow and Edinburgh, which are exponentially increasing, or in Dundee, which is already a severely run down historical place, which is now being made worse with mass migration. You must all remember the Dundee girl with the axe and the scythe or whatever. She was innocent, by the way. It's all proven that the two illegals, the few foreigners, were part of a grooming gang. You can look that up. Now, I'm going to highlight this other story that popped up very recently again, which highlights this, and it's from Spain. And as you know, in Spain, the Spanish government, being absolute idiots, but basically given 500,000 estimated citizenships out, basically, to illegal migrants. Now, it's actually estimated to be over 1 million. Right? You can always double what the government says. And of course, what this has done is led to more migrants turning up on the border from Africa and, you know, the African continent, and just trying to drive in because, you know, put enough pressure on them, they'll just give you citizenship. Now, Spain has suffered many, many issues. And one of the issues that came up recently is this. You might have seen this lady popping up as of yesterday. I can't really say her name properly. Estebales Cortazar. I apologize for butchering the name. A far left Spanish activist did what good comrades do. Comrades, communists. She opened her home to a North African migrant. Once she got what she wanted, the man started sexually harassing her, insulting her, beating her, and then he threw her out and changed the locks and took over. She called the police for help. Their response, we can't do anything without a court order. It's a guy illegally in my house, but then you let him in, darling. So let's be brutally real here. Now she's sleeping at relatives' houses, seeing a psychologist after a nervous breakdown, and has launched a petition to fast-track the legal process to get her home back. Now, I've looked into this story, right, and I don't mean to be laughing, but I have to laugh, right? You brought a migrant into your house you knew nothing about, right? And then you let them, and this guy apparently wake up in the middle of the night, always turn the lights on. She'd leave 15 minutes later, the whole house is trashed. Had no respect for her. She was a dog owner, hates her dog, she was a little dog carrier, constantly thrown aside, to the point that obviously she had a friend turn up to move in, another migrant, to come in and move in, who was got bitten on the face or the ear by the African migrants. And then they brought another female friend over to mediate, who then got sexually assaulted. You could make it up. And just to let you know, this went on for a year. A year of putting this up with this because of a cooked brain to think that she's virtual signaling. And a year later, he changes the locks and kicks her out. And she is now homeless, and he's legally just living there, squatting there. This isn't the first instance in Spain. With all the mass immigration, of legal immigration and legal immigrants. They are literally just moving into people's houses and refusing to leave. There are security firms being created, and it's not enough, I'll tell you that, in Spain, basically being hired to kick these illegals out of their house and get their houses back. I remember seeing one story, this little old Spanish lady, some guy just decided to walk into a house, live there for months and months and months. The local council, whatever, government completely ignored this lady, and it took the local firemen to walk in and drag this mother out the house. They have no respect for you. As much as you want to care like this woman, yeah, they have no respect for you. Now, just to highlight this as well, this is the end of last year. Police evicted hundreds of migrants from buildings in Barcelona region. This is in Spain again, right? And this is the end of 2025.
Que es muy probable sacar 400 personas en primer invierno, no importa de Navidad. Estas personas tienen que tener que hacer muy duro para hacer eso.
See, the problem is, they're trying to make it like a sob story. No, they were evicted because they went into people's homes illegally. As much as you open your hearts and your minds and your expense, your money, just do bank, basically, because that's what we've been made to do, especially as natives in this country, as Britons. And yet here you are, having to evict hundreds. And it's happening daily because they have no respect for you. Because what every government has done in Europe, including the British government, Keir Starmer, thank you very much, and Labour, and with the Green who want to somehow turn that up to overdrive, is they've allowed these people to come in and told them that they're protected from the law, told them that the natives are second-class citizens, told them that you can do whatever you did in your existing homeland here without no consequence, because you can simply say, boo-hoo, you didn't know any difference. I see it daily, yeah? This weekend, I've looked at the totals of it. The weekend in London alone, 7 sexual assaults and 1 shooting. And guess what, guys? It's not all by natives. 90% of the time, no, they never are these days. It's just the reality of it. So here we go. We're having to kick people out who've just moved in and squatted not only in your country. And again, I like to say to people, would you open your house up to people, right? Well, you can see many interviews that stand up to racism or stand up to the far right, and there's people who gently ask them, would you take a migrant house? And they're like, no, so I got no space in my house. Because you're there just signaling. You don't actually care. And for one, we've already let them into our house. You've let them into our home already. When they legally enter this country, they're in your house. Your country is your home. And you need to realize that. So for those people saying, well, there's no problem coming to the country, then yes, you have no problem coming into your home. So this was, again, about a month ago from GB News. I'm just going to play a bit of this. Obviously, we need to skip a bit here because of the bloody advert. But I'm going to play a bit of this, Patrick Christie. And again, this ties into everything, right?
To an asylum seeker. Let's get the views of my panel on this. Christo, would you? You've got loads of spare rooms, actually. Massive gaff.
Well, I don't want to talk about, the Victorian villa that I have in South London. No, I don't like anyone being in my house, frankly, most of the time. I don't even like my family staying in my spare room. I don't even like guests using my toilet. I mean, you remember I made you go down the road when you came over? Yeah, because
got arrested for that.
You nearly did get arrested for that. Well, I was the one that called the police on you. So would I personally do this? No, because I don't really like anyone staying in my house. The dog has a spare room, but not guests. However, I can't get annoyed about this. I want to get annoyed about it, but I can't, because I can't help but think that the people who are doing this, right, I just want to talk about those really annoying people in that video that you have. And you're absolutely right. There are so many people, and there are so many lovey celebrities, your Emma Thompsons and all of that have absolutely no contact with people who are asylum seekers, have none of the negative effects of demographic change and all of those stuff in their areas, that bleat on about people like you being terrible people because you're not doing more. Well, actually, at least these people that are doing it, they are putting their money where their mouth is, and they're saying, right, we want to help asylum seekers, and rather than just say, but there could be a problem that go over there, we'll let them come into our house. It's not something I would do. Right. You know, because I like to have a nice clean toilet. I'm not saying asylum seekers don't have a clean toilet or wouldn't keep my toilet clean. I'm going down the toilet rabbit hole now.
He turned the house into a shithole, my language. And again, if you remember my previous videos about the Amsterdam project, where they had students live with migrants, where the migrants sexually assaulted the students, were constantly fighting, the place was turned into a heap. Yeah, rather than natives in Amsterdam were the ones cleaning up constantly. This lady, if you find the video of what was put up online, shows you the state of her house after just leaving 15 minutes. No respect for anything. These people just given money with no consequence, yeah, and told that they can do whatever they want.
Patrick, get me out of it. Get me out of it.
We've got one panellist so far who would not be keen to...
So, I like the way he gulped, but yeah, he wouldn't have it even if he's got a massive mansion, he wouldn't be there. So let's continue here.
Steve,
well,
would you?
I don't have a spare room because I keep.
No.
But it's not because I rent, because I keep breeding and you have to put kids in them. It's really annoying. No,
damn your children! Damn your children!
It's possible to imagine a world in which you do have a spare room, Steve. Would you think you'd do it? Or?
No, and I'll tell you, this is why I don't think this is a good scheme, right? The only saving grace is that it's a one way for taxpayers to get some of their money of this whole scheme back to them. But it's not going to be those kind of people. It's people who are desperate for money. It's almost like they've picked one of the worst outcomes. The advert has a sweet little old lady opening the door. Are you trying to get the worst thing to happen? It's like they were having a brainstorming meeting. Let's get these people out of hotels near 13-year-olds. What's the opposite of a hotel near a 13-year-old? Small room with an old lady in it. It's still going to be bad. It feels like not a good plan.
Okay, Johnny, would you if you had a spare room?
Yeah, I think obviously not. But one thing we can take from this ad is that actually when the right says, oh, would you do it? And we give examples of no. Well, now we can actually maybe ask that charity in a few months from now, did anybody take you up on it? And, you know, we could get some data. How many bad incidences? How many repeated people were lending their spare homes? I'm interested in that data.
Sebastian, would you be offering up anywhere?
Are you ready to hear the most predictable answer?
Yes.
Of course I would.
You would?
Of course I would.
Fantastic.
This guy is a Labour councillor, and I'm sorry, he's a piece of... It was literally on GB News a couple of days ago saying that a tourist is culpable of sexual assault and is the same as an illegal migrant. Because, you know, he's got to make an excuse for illegal migrants, and migrants are overstayed their welcome on, you know, visas and so forth, so on, are gaming the system and abusing people en masse. But this lovely gentleman has no problem with that. So, okay, we're going to watch you, sir, in the next couple of days to see if you respond to this advert again. Yeah, remember this? You respond to these guys calling you out as a Labour councillor. Would you have migrant hotel right next to your house? Will you have migrants in your home? You say you will here, but you exactly, this is a month ago, this gentleman is the exact people now squawking about Reform's policy of putting migrant hotels and people don't vote for them. Again, it won't fly. Again, it's immoral and unethical regardless of who voted for what. And again, as a Restore member, we wouldn't support that. We just don't want illegals here regardless. But it is beautiful for calling out idiots like this. It's beautiful for calling up all the celebs who've got massive mansions and full of extra rooms to have it. But the problem is as well, when you hear about this, is this was Leeds Asylum Seeking Support Network, and we've seen one in Gloucestershire I was mentioned about. I think it was Gloucestershire. I think I was talking about offering you money to have the home. So again, the poorest people are going to feel like they have no option. The elderly are going to be more inclined to the soft and again hard on cash, putting them at risk. The incident I was talking about with the Spanish illegal migrant, well, non-Spanish illegal migrant, was in that lady's house. She was an elderly woman. You couldn't remove this gentleman. Yeah. This lady doesn't look like a younger lady. She looks middle-aged and elderly because she's too soft. Let the migrants stay in their house, and now she's lost her house. So will the Leeds Asylum Seeker Support Network support the people that bring the migrants in, that suddenly change the locks on them and remove them from their own home? Because I also know the squatters' rights is a bit of a dodgy one in this country. And I tried to find a clip before I couldn't find, and it was with Naga Yanchetti, I think it is, on GB News. And it's a gentleman saying, again, that the British public will need to start looking at different avenues of what we can do to support illegal migrants and migrants. So what we suggest is that if you're living alone, we should, as a government, force you, basically, to have an illegal migrant living with you. Great. So all the girls and all the young boys living alone will have migrants forced into their home. And again, if we talk about the students' accommodation, F up in Amsterdam. Yeah, I highlighted in that video as well, the lady took the homeless person off the street who ended up murdering her. And another gentleman brought an illegal immigrant off the street lady and ended up murdering her also. You don't know these people. The government aren't vetting these people. So when you're moving into your home, you don't know. Okay? So it is a danger and it is a risk. Now, you can't do that, guys, because it's a danger and a risk. That's a simple fact. Right? But arguably by the law, as we can blatantly point out, the people that are on the Greens and Labour love migrants. They love illegals and they care so much for them. So therefore, in their brain, they're not a risk and not in danger, are they? So legally, it's perfectly fine to dump them there because they welcome them, right? I mean, you've got Glaswegian councillors going, yes, bring us every migrant here. Fuck the English, but I'll have every migrant from Africa. Same with Wales, right? Screw the English. We've got to protect our Welsh language, but we'll have every migrant from Africa. That's fine. Okay, fine. But if you're just going to start asking for it, maybe you should get it. I don't agree with it, but it is food for thought, isn't it? You know. So I'm going to leave that video there. I just thought I had to mention about this. I hope these videos are getting better. Again, I'm not used to this, but I'm just trying to highlight things, especially on the Wirral, because I think we really need to wake up. We've been sleeping way too long under the radar of Green and Labour. Yeah, I personally want every Labour MP gone. They are useless buggers. Yeah, Matthew for Wirral West. I'd like you to see you speak about the CO2 pipeline, please, sir. I would like you to listen to the people who do not want a CO2 pipeline. Yeah. And maybe you should speak to the people about the migrant hotel as well, which swapped out women and children for men at the end of last year, which now has increased rates of reported crime of all variety. Maybe we can do that. Maybe as well we can hold all the Labour and Green and Conservative councillors who turn up with little placards for the CO2 pipeline protest and say that Labour, Conservatives and Green stand against the pipeline. Well, that's funny because you're not putting pressure on your MP and your party who are all responsible for the CO2 pipeline. Net zero scam started by Conservatives, yeah, issued on by Labour, and now the Greens want to tear up even more and damn it, clip out Green policies. Again, we need to wake up to the Wirral, but we do need change and we need to restore the Wirral to make sure it works for the Wirral people. I don't want an Afghan relocation scheme on the Wirral, which we do have, and they're proud to have over 700 individuals brought into the Wirral last year. Over, they didn't tell us what, yeah? Well, we've got homeless people on the Wirral. So, again, it's one of them, isn't it? I want to remove it from the council. We don't want people like this. I don't want loads of migrants, illegal migrants in the Wirral. We are seeing instances and cases, which I will do a video about soon, because I have over 8 videos now of sexual harassment and assaults in Wallasey, Beckenhead and Wirral West. Isn't that weird? And they all seem to be happening more and more so rapidly with, I don't know, the Afghan relocation scheme. So take what you will in this video. I hopefully get better in the future on my rambles. I don't really plan these. I just kind of go at it. But here you go. Some food for thought. Have a great day and I'll catch you all soon.